When you look at this horrible thing that took place today, it's really, is it subversion? Is it treason? It's a horrible thing. Even, you know the good thing about that? Even liberals that hate me say, that's terrible what they did. And it is really terrible.
President Trump last night talking about the stunning New York Times op-ed from an unnamed senior administration official. The Times reports that the White House has a list of about 12 suspects and has talked about lie detector tests. Joining me now is Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell of California. Congressman, thank you very much for being with us. Leave the treason aside, because it's not treason. It doesn't meet any definition of treason. The president is flat out wrong about that, and he knows it. However, when he says that even liberal members of Congress who don't like me say that this op-ed should not have been written, he's talking about you.
Yeah, well, good morning, John. And, you know, he asks, is it treason? Is it subversion? No, it's failure. It's failure of a president to do his job, but it's really failure of a Congress to check him. And what has happened here is this president has drawn us close to the Russians, distanced us from our allies, and has corruptly cashed in on the Oval Office, and Congress has not done its job to be a check. And so the result is that his own aides are running a mutiny and are going rogue and undermining his work, and that is wrong. That those people should come forward and present themselves. But this is his failure and Congress's failure.
But just on that last point, you do agree with him.
I do.
That someone should not have, this person, this unnamed person should not have done this.
I do.
Okay, that's interesting, because you guys don't agree on much. You don't need me to tell you. I also want to play a little bit more of what the president said last night and how he's trying to use this politically, and he brought up the I word, impeachment.
And what you're going to have is you'll have a country that's going to turn into a third world country. Because if the opposite party becomes president, every time before it even starts, before you've even found out whether or not he or she is going to do a great job, they'll say, we want to impeach him, and you'll impeach him. It's so ridiculous. But don't worry about that if it ever happens. But if it does happen, it's your fault because you didn't go out to vote. Okay?
So what's interesting to me here, Congressman, in regards to you, is that the President of the United States is using the I word. He's using the impeachment word. And you, Congressman, are not. You have said you do not think it's time to talk about impeachment.
I'm not taking that bait, John. I see him dangling it out there. It's because he has such a bankruptcy of ideas, and so do the Republicans, that they want us to talk about this and not to point out the fact that Republicans have gutted health care. They've given tax cuts to the wealthiest among us, and they won't investigate or scrub out the corruption that exists in Washington. We will do the investigations that we have to do when we're in the majority. We're not going to look the other way on impeachment. But the American people, they don't want us to leave.
Do you think it hurts Democrats? Do you think it hurts Democrats to talk about impeachment?
Well, I think it hurts Democrats if voters believe that's all we're going to do and that's why we should be in the majority. I don't think voters believe anyone's above the law, whether it's a Democratic president or a Republican president. And we should assure them we'll do our job, follow the evidence, and hold anyone accountable. But they care about what goes on at home, and that's their hard work. Does it add up to something? Do they do better and dream bigger for their kids? That's what we should focus on.
I know you've been watching the Senate Judiciary Committee hearings. You're a House member on the Judiciary Committee, so you watch the Senate. And you saw yesterday Cory Booker, the senator from New Jersey, say this is my Spartacus moment. And he suggested at one point early that he was revealing committee confidential documents that it turns out had already been okayed to be released. How did you assess that moment there?
I don't understand, John, why those documents were even marked committee confidential. They didn't relate to national security. It was quite confusing as to why the majority did that. And I think Mr. Booker was arguing the American people should see this. He has a very limited opportunity to question a lifetime appointee, and you know, he was using every tool at his disposal to make sure that before that person went on the bench, he was questioned.
In fact, though, one of the tools at his disposal, at least the first time he said it yesterday morning, was to suggest that somehow he was releasing something that had been prohibited from being released when in fact it hadn't been. So was that ham-handed?
I don't know too much about their process. I think the American people were just confused. Why do we not have all the documents? And they still have, I think, less than 10% of the total writings of Brett Kavanaugh at the White House. So why would the White House stand on this privilege where no White House in the past has done this? But again, John, I think the consequences here, this person will go on the Supreme Court at a time that we have a president who is under investigation, so legally exposed, civilly and criminally, And this judge has said that a president is above the law and cannot be sued or prosecuted. So we should put the screws to him and find out if he can either apply the law independently or recuse himself if necessary. And I saw that yesterday.
I know that. I know why you think that Judge Kavanaugh has said that, and you may be right that ultimately that's his opinion.
It was a law review article in the Minnesota University of Minnesota.
What he says he was writing there, and if you read it carefully, is he's saying that Congress should pass a law which says that a president can't be investigated or indicted, not that judges should rule. Now, he may rule that way. It may be a window into his ultimate thinking. I don't know. But he's hiding behind, or he's not hiding behind, he's using the actual language there of suggesting that Congress should pass a law to explain that away. You have been accused, Congressman, and you in fact have admitted that you're considering running for president in 2020. Am I correct?
I'm considering it, yeah.
Yes.
But first things first, the best way to cut our time in hell in half is to win the midterms. So that's going to be my focus. And I was just down in Alabama over the weekend, and I saw energy there that I've not seen in the South in a very long time. And so across the country, I think people want an agenda that is for them, for the people, and we'll go, go after that.
And I know you've been to Iowa because you have conveniently have Iowa roots. But my
by
question,
accident of birth.
By accident of birth. That's so convenient. Senator Booker and Kamala Harris, again, also two senators who may be considering running for president in 2020. What's the right way to handle moments then like this Judiciary Committee? Do you think people have to be careful that it doesn't seem like they're positioning themselves in the way that they operate?
Well, I think the insult that was volleyed at Senator Booker by Senator Cornyn doesn't even land to say that, oh, you're just doing this because you're running for 2020. It's not an insult to tell a qualified senator that they may be qualified enough to be the president of the United States, and that during this very important time in our country's history, that senator is doing their job in a way that would make them, even more qualified. So that's his job, and he was doing his job. So I don't see how that insult lands.
All right, Congressman Eric Swalwell, great to have you with us this morning.
Pleasure.
I do appreciate it.
Yeah.